All right, exit interview of my 2011 BMW 1M. It's about to not be mine tomorrow afternoon. I guess depending on when you're watching this video, we'll call this the end of the 1M era in my household anyway. It's been a long process, learned a lot, had a lot of blood hands, and had a lot of quirks and things that I had to work through, and the car is now set up to what I would call OG spec, or to my standard. And so now I'm gonna give it to the next person. So what I'll do, like I always do with all cars that I give away to the next person, in this case it's actually a giveaway and not a sale. I like to do an exit interview while I'm washing the car and talk you through lessons learned, the pros, the cons, what the car is like, and then send it off to the next person. I don't want to drive it now. Shoot, if I crash this thing, it would cost me $250,000 or so to give everybody's money back. So I don't want to do that. But what I want to do is get it washed and clean and ready to go. I just drove it back from Precision Sport Industries PSI down in Orlando, messing with the suspension, and so there's bugs all over it and dirt all over it. So it rained a couple of times while I was driving back. So it's time to do a quick wash. So let me get wheels and the pressure washer and everything set up so we can work through this video. Camera is my new Canon C200. This is the first shot. Auto white balance, set up at pretty simple ISO and aperture numbers, shutter speed. I'm going to try this 4K 60 and see how it goes. I'm still tweaking the audio, still tweaking the skin tones. So I got a lot of work to do. So bear with me. This will be the first trial at this. It's always tricky out here in my wash bay to do any kind of video when we have bright light outside and then reasonably bright light inside, and trying to manage the different sunlight and stuff like that. So let's get moving. All right, we gotta get the wheels cleaned up, and we'll work through this process just like normal. I still have to get my new tips, so I'm waiting on prototypes. Not prototypes, but final production. So I have 4.0 tips, but I need 6.0 for out here. So I'm still using the old tip. So, man, where do I start with this thing? When I got it, many of you watched, I said, I'm just gonna buy this as a 2018 end of the year little write-off, and a 1M is something I've always wanted to experience, but I didn't want to own forever. It's just not something that I wanted or had intentions of owning for the rest of my life, unless I absolutely loved it. And I do like it. I just like the M3 better. So I was down at Adam LZ's and PSI's December open house, and the car was sitting there, and I started looking at it, and I was joking with my friend Sean, who owns PSI. I said, hey, I should buy that thing. And then he said, yeah, you should. And what it intrigued me is it had the BMW performance seats in it, but they have orange stitching on it. And so I said, well, shoot, is the guy selling the car, would he part out the seats, but then I'd have to go have it restitched? What would that cost? What would be involved in that? So I started thinking, why don't I just buy the thing? I posted on Instagram. Everybody goes crazy. I don't listen to reason. I buy the thing a few days later, and that was December of 2000, right at the very end of the year. I think like December 16th or 18th of last year. So I get the car. My intent was just to drive it as is. I thought it looked kind of cool the way it was set up, and I was just gonna probably just sell it when I was done with it. Well, we all know how that turned out. I didn't leave well enough alone. I immediately decided right away that I was going to do the 359M wheels, you know, which were the the stock wheels, but in GTS satin black. So I ordered a set of those. As soon as I put those on and gained some traction, because the rear tires were basically toast, then I started to get check engine lights. So that means I needed to do a bunch of work. I needed to do coils, injectors, new plugs. What I did first was coils and injectors, and then I'm like, well, shoot, if I'm going to do this, I might as well get the injectors as well and finish the process. So anyway, I buy those, and then I started the process of buying all these different parts, because I'm like, well, I really don't like this intake, so let me get an intake. And didn't like the engine cover, so got a new engine cover. Didn't like the exhaust, so I got a new exhaust. And then it opened up Pandora's box to getting the car set up the way that you see it now. So I called my buddies at Dynan, ordered the intake, not realizing how involved this intake is. You'll get some hides. I love that this camera actually has a red light on it so I can tell if I'm recording, unlike the stupid Sony. You can't tell. So I got working on getting the engine up to snuff while also working on paint. So we had a moderators weekend, had several of the moderators come down. We removed the PPF off the front. We paint corrected the thing. Worked on tweaking a bunch of stuff. Mike did the coils and injectors, got that all knocked out. And then Shane detuned it. So we got rid of the custom tune, went back to the Cobb original tune, and then I put the GTS wheels with PS4s on it, and we were back in business. We had traction. We had no more check engine lights. We had a smooth running, more linear powered N54, but there was still all kinds of chop and lump in the tune. There's a lumpiness to it. So it wasn't long after that I reflashed it with the active stage 2 tune, active auto work. While doing that, I did a charge pipe, the active auto work charge pipe. I did the active auto work blow-off valve. I did the Dynan intake, which required us to remove the secondary radiator, and then add in a larger oil cooler to compensate for that. So now we have a larger oil cooler, secondary radiator, new carbon fiber cold air intake, and and then new clean black parts under the engine bay. So we have a nice shiny looking engine bay. Looks very OE plus, if you will. Much my style. So then I was trying to decide what to do with the suspension. I still, the last video I just made, we just did that. I'm still not super happy with it. It's still kind of harsh, but I think that this car in general, I'm comparing it to the M3. I think the 1M in general gives a lot more feedback. So I don't think it's a suspension. I think it's just inherent to the 1 Series. I'm used to the 3 Series, which is a little bit more stout, I think, from an interior perspective, more sound deadening, dampening, things like that. So I added Dynan sway bar. We also did rear toe links. I did the Dynan monoball mounts in the front, so just did the little suspension tweaks to the underneath the car, make the car easier to align. Also make hopefully steering feel a little bit better. We also changed all the fluids, so the diff fluid, transmission fluid, and oil, as well as flushed the coolant system in order to do the intake with the new oil cooler. Since we removed the secondary radiator, we ended up having to drain the radiator got all that dialed fresh, clean, and adjusted. And then that's when I got stupid. So I forget when it was, but it was relatively early on of the ownership that I decided what we'll do is we'll do a giveaway. So I started chasing that. I'll talk to you about the giveaway and how that's gone. So I started chasing the idea of doing a giveaway or a raffle or whatever you want to call it, rather than selling it. And then that's when I opened up the idea of, well, shoot, why don't I go full on and put the HREs that I had on my M3, why don't I put the HREs on it? Come on. What am I doing? And then shortly after that, I was considering doing Brembos. I called Sean at PSI. I said, hey, can we get Brembos in time? He said, I don't know, let's find out. And sure enough, we ended up getting Brembo GT kit, 383, 65, full front and rear kit, and put those on. And man, that was the best modification to any car, is to do the Brembo kit. It's just so amazing. I'm absolutely positively in love with it. So I'm glad I did that. And then the HREs fit this car so perfectly. And what I decided to do was say, well, shoot, if I'm gonna do this raffle thing, here's what we'll do. I'll give people the option. When I sell the car, I'm gonna sell it with both, or give the car away. So whoever gets this is getting the 359 GTS wheels, which are brand new, and then you're getting also the HREs, which are relatively brand new. I think I bought the car with 44 and change. Let's say 44,600, and it had 45,000 and maybe 600. So I put maybe 1,000 miles on it. Keep moving along here. It's interesting, this camera is much, much heavier, but it's not all top heavy and weird with all the crap I have to bolt onto the Sony. The only thing that's a little odd is I thought the color science would be perfect right out of the box. It just seems a little drab to me. It doesn't look quite, or maybe that's just the way I look like a vampire. So it looks more accurate than the Sony setup we ended up with. But it looks a little bit more, I guess you could say, washed out. So the HRE idea added a whole lot of money to the sucker. So I paid $55,000 for the car. I probably got, well, there's one dude who still hasn't paid me for the RSW wheels that he owes me $1,200 for. I sold them to him for $2,000. It was a $6,000 set of wheels. The wheels that were on here. But let's say I recovered, selling some stuff, maybe $3,000. Yeah, $3,000. So I was about 50, so let's say 51 into the car. I paid extra because I thought I was just gonna leave it all alone. So I wanted all the parts, suspension, seats, all that stuff in it. So I paid 50, let's say 55 for it, had $4,000 worth of stuff that I sold, like he had an extra set of wheels and tires, and I think I sold those for like $800, and then I sold the charge pipe and engine cover and a couple other little things. So yeah, probably not even. Let's say $3,000 because dude still owes me $1,200. And then adding the Brembos, I mean these HREs were with tires like $12,000 or something insane, because these are R101 lightweight, so they're like $2,900 a piece, and then they got center caps and wheel studs and tires and mounting and balancing, and and who knows how much labor. I had to go back several times to get them remounted and balanced, and yeah, it was a lot of extra cost. A lot of hundos palmed on these wheels. When I say $12,000, I'm not messing with you. And then, what are the brakes are approaching $9,000. I think I had roughly a little over $5,000 in attorney's fees in order to set up the raffle or the the giveaway. And then all the parts. So rough estimate, I'm 95,000-ish into it. I don't know the total revenue we raised because we only tracked the profit, the rough profit, very loose profit. I didn't track the profitability on the videos. I'll publish it in the Facebook group at some point here coming up. But I think we will probably end up somewhere around 65,000 in the positive versus, you know, if I would have sold it outright, I probably would have lost a bunch of money. I wouldn't have put the HREs on it. I wouldn't have put the Brembos on it. I wouldn't have done nearly the extent of the stuff. I would have parted it out much more than I did, you know, with the giveaway. I'm giving it complete with an extra set of 5,000 hour wheels. So that's probably, you know, revenue is probably somewhere around 260, 280. And then profitability, probably closer to 300. But no, yeah, probably 250, 260, because the membership doesn't have an associated cost, although it does have a cost because I had to pay, you know, lots of, you know, employees and hours and my hours and then hours of a web developer and developing the membership program and all of that. So anyway, we're, you know, rough estimate, we're around 65K in profit on the car, excluding the revenue from the videos, excluding the revenue from maybe new people that found the channel because of the car. So all in all, it was a success. I mean, I don't know if it would happen again, you know, so I'm gonna buy a Corvette probably this week. And I don't know if I'm going to do a giveaway or if I'm going to sell that outright. We'll kind of get a feel for it as I go. I'm buying the Corvette not for the giveaway. I'm buying it because I really want to know. I really would like to own one, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm buying a Carbon 65, I think, probably tomorrow. We'll see. See if I have power. I'm sure we will. It's freaking hurricane bullcrap. You can see my hurricane preparedness. I spent all of about 0 seconds preparing. I mean, what are you gonna do? There's nothing to do. You don't need anything. Shoot, my pantry, I've got freaking 8, 10, 12 days worth of food that I could put together in just my pantry alone. There's no reason to go anywhere or do anything. People don't drink water anyway. For me, I also have a generator and a well, so I'll just turn a generator on and get water out of the darn well, just like normal. So no reason to do anything. You don't board anything up. It's freaking stupid. If you live on the beach, you leave the beach and you just hope your house doesn't get leveled. You hope that your roof doesn't blow over. And then when it's all said and done, then you can do something about it. Now you gotta clean up. You gotta clean up your yard. You gotta cut down trees and all that crap. There's nothing you can do. The only thing I guess you could do is prepare your trees beforehand, so trim them. But you're not gonna do that the week before. And the hurricane's probably not coming here anyway. So everybody's been preparing, filling up their gas tank, having a gosh darn Armageddon free-for-all for a week straight. And we might get some stuff on like Wednesday. They started last Wednesday, canceling football games in school and all kinds of weird crap. Just freaking weird people. I swear, I think people really want it to happen. I don't want a freaking hurricane. Stay away. So, the 1M is going to sit right here and we'll be just fine. Maybe I'll take it over to the garage. If we get leveled, then, you know, I'm screwed. That's the way it goes. So, the giveaway thing, you know, I'm going to stop worrying about what other people are doing. I don't worry about what people are doing anyway. You know, the whole $5 for every dollar spent. You know, I see all these ones and I kind of look at them and I'm like, ah, shoot, these guys are tools. I don't want to be associated with this. And I realize I'm not associated with any of that because most of you guys don't watch that crap anyway. Just like I don't. So, I march to my own drum, not to what everybody else is doing. I think you guys can attest to that. So, I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing. I'm just going to do whatever it is I want to do. And shoot, making 65K on a car, that's pretty legit. You know, I'll take it. I don't know if I'll do it again or not, or how it'll work, but regardless, the car, the key component here for me was the car turned out great. All right, let's get set up to wash the thing. All right, we're still playing with hyperwash. In the summer, I tend to not wash my car quite as much because I'm just constantly getting destroyed. So I haven't been testing this as much as I'd like. I've probably done a dozen washes with it. And what I do is put 75, which is probably a little bit more than we need. So I'm putting 50% less soap in my foam cannon than I am with Adams. And I'm putting quite a bit less in the bucket as well. Not quite there. I'm going to put a little extra because I'm going to do a little experiment here with the, I'm always talking about you can't really leave the soap. We can't leave the soap in the foam cannon. Like let's say I'm going to wash the M3 on Wednesday and today is Monday, Labor Day. Then I wouldn't leave the soap in there because it'll, the soap breaks down and the water sort of neutralizes it, makes it so that it doesn't really soap or foam up anymore. So we're going to see how hyperwash does, because I'll probably only use half this bottle and I'll just let it sit and we'll see if hyperwash can sustain. And if that's the case, then game over. I'll be switching to this for good. So I just ordered a 16 to 35. This is a 24 to 70 millimeter lens. So I think I'm going to need the slightly wider angle. The only advantage of shooting at 24 is I look a little less chubby, which is always a good thing. All right, there's our soap. Let's rinse the car and foam it and keep chatting here. Need more. I don't usually fill up the the foam cannon all the way. So I don't know if 75 mLs of soap is going to be enough, but we'll see. I love rinsing a car off with G-Technic on it. I'm telling you, Crystal Serum Light top of EXO is perfect. Perfect, perfect. The M3 is getting this treatment, so I guess technically I won't have any cars with power lock on it. All right. Lots of bugs. So I'm going to be testing out H2O Go here shortly on the M5. We'll see how that does in comparison to Wolf's, and I'll make my decision here which we'll be using for Windows in the future. We also got to clean up the interior real quickly here for you today, and then I've got to aim the headlights down a little bit. I aimed them a little bit too high. I was getting high beamed the whole way home. I raised them up and then I hadn't driven it at night. And I guess I was flashing everybody as I'm driving. So yeah, the paint on this car is really good. Really, really, really good. And now I feel really good about the front lip. I've got the front lip really set up where it's installed really well. So you shouldn't have to worry about that long term. The only thing I would do, if I had the car longer, I probably would end up doing a different suspension. I don't think the Dynon would work because I don't think it would go low enough. I don't know. The suspension, I think, still, if you're going to be driving on the track, it's perfect. But if you're going to be driving it around town all the time, I don't know. What might make sense, it might make sense to take the Dynon sway bar off and put the factory back on, but I'm out of time, so you guys are on your own on that. Whoever gets the car, I've got you 99% of the way there. I don't like this hose. I'm getting a different hose. This thing binds up too much. It's too light. It needs to be heavier. But yeah, I think whoever gets this, I think you're really gonna love the way this thing rides, the way it feels, the way it delivers power. It's really good. Really, really, really good. I don't think anybody's gonna be disappointed with it. The interior is really dialed in. I'd keep the HREs on it. Oh, the only other little quirk that I have, I don't like quirks, but the only other quirk is this side as you're reversing, it'll rub on the inner fender liner, but it sounds like the world is ending. It's super loud, but it's really not a big deal at all. But the GTS wheels won't rub. So you can choose to do whatever the heck you want. I'm speaking as if I'm talking to the person who gets this thing. So tomorrow I'm gonna do a drawing. I hope it's somebody that I know. Hope it's somebody that's been in the video. I hope it's somebody you guys have seen. Because then I get to yell at people when they say it's been fixed. It's gonna be purely random. You know, we're taking all the entries. We have about 5,300 total entries. I don't know how many people that ends up being, probably about 3,000 people. So one thing I didn't want was I wanted the odds to be high. So I don't want to play any stupid games where it's like you get 15 entries for this. Like you have to actually spend a little bit of money in order to get a decent amount of entries. But I wanted to keep it reasonable where for 25 bucks you can, or 35 bucks you can get in on it and not have to buy $1,000 ticket or something. So I think I accomplished that. So I only did maybe half the amount of videos that I intended to do because I got too many projects going on at once. So I think the way to do these would be if I had a little more focus, and a little less going on. Not even just, that's not that I have too much going on. I'm just too many cool things that I'm playing with all at once. The M3 and this was kind of building at the same time. And then I'm an idiot. I bought the M5, which I just got started on. So it's just too many cool things. And so I never even made a darn commercial for this for my own channel. So I probably could have doubled my money if I would have worked a little harder at it. So that's why I think maybe I'll probably still be able to do the Corvette. Even though I don't have a huge Corvette following, I probably will by the end of it. Because the thing that I've learned, I'm searching around to look for Corvette information, and there's just a bunch of janky crap. Let's do a coilover conversion. Get rid of the frickin' leaf springs. Let's do, instead of just taking the wheel bolts out and being cheap and lazy, let's do an actual real lowering where we do spindles. I'm learning all about these weird crap you have to do to Corvettes that are different than any other car on the planet. There's these wonky, weird suspension and weird X pipes and crap. You Corvette guys are either gonna love it, some of you are gonna hate it. So those of you who develop your self-worth from the things you purchase, you're gonna hate it. Just like those who get self-worth out of the N54. And I talked about how, people are talking about winning this car and driving it home. I wouldn't freaking do that. Even though I've got it sorted, let me ship it. Otherwise, you're probably going to end up on the side of the road with your $100,000 car. There's a high probability of that with this N54 engine. So I would choose this car as a, this is your weekend car around town. You take to the mountains or take to, some driving roads every once in a while. But I wouldn't be driving this thing across the country. It's too rare, it's too valuable. And the N54 is a frickin' wild card. I just wouldn't feel comfortable with that. But hey, you win this thing, you're on your own. I'm telling you, I'm not your personal mechanic. I'm not giving you my cell phone number. You're gonna have to fix crap. That's the way it goes. A darn GT3 throws a check engine light. I gotta figure out why it's doing that. So just prepare yourself for that. Leave me out of it. So I'm telling you that right now. Love me or hate me. At least I'm honest. So, anyway, this car is pretty sick though. you know, I'm a realist here, and so I don't want to sit here and just tell you that this is the greatest thing ever and there's never going to be a problem. It's just not true. You know, I'm going to tell you this right now. I like my M3 more. If you had a choice between my M3 and this, choose one to take, I'd take the M3. I would tell you to take the M3, but you don't have that choice. That would be kind of cool though. Which car do you want? I'm not giving you any ideas because I'm not doing that. Although I think I have more money into this car than I do the M3. Maybe not because I had to buy the seats for the M3 and the suspension. Yeah, this camera's way heavier, but it's so much more pleasant moving it. Part of it is this tripod. I'll make a video soon once I figure out the camera. Make sure the camera's gonna stay on what I ended up with. This time I'll make, what the heck? This time I'll make the video. Not Bryce and Ryan. Yeah, so. Yes, I understand that you do this, people. I get that. That's the whole point, is it doesn't drop and hit the bottom. Freaking idiots. You think I'm really that stupid? Oh, you should know, I want you to let you know there's a spot to put the gas cap. I said, you think I don't know that? You kidding me? I tore this car apart. Every panel on this thing has been off. Give me some credit. Idiots. Freaking think I don't know that. What the heck? Oh my gosh. I do like washing this thing though. You're gonna like it too. Oh, another thing I'm not sure about hyperwash is you'll have to report back to me. I don't know about, I mean, it is pH neutral, roughly. Slightly above pH neutral. But I don't know about washing it in the sun. If it'd be better leaving the soap on the car or making sure you get the soap off the car as quickly as possible. I must be moving slower today because the soap is drying out on me here. Yeah, I can't wait to get the M3 with G-Technic on it. So good. Thinking about repainting the M3 completely. Set to repaint the trunk. Just go for it. Paint the whole thing. All right. Car's done. Let's rinse it. You didn't know you could put the gas cap on the stay. Yeah, I did. That's kind of the point of removing the leash. Oh yeah, the other little bit of forgot about this. It's a little wonkiness here on the right side. The front bumper, because of the lip, or not the lip, the Dynon intake box needs a little more adjustment, but I give up. I quit.